every penny we get from them is being passed to the U.S. consumer. So remember that.
Not necessarily, right? It's got to be the choice.
Yes, necessary.
Fox News has a few bad actors that work for them that I mean, they're all bad news. They're all bad news. From Ainsley Earhart and her what about the majority? I'm so tired of taking care of the minority. You'll remember this.
I do want to say that it is because we protect the rights of the minority, and there are listen. We have separation of church and state in this country.
What about the majority?
Okay, the majority.
So tired of protecting the minority. What about the majority?
Okay, the majority.
So tired of protecting the minority.
To Jesse Waters acting as though he's some kind of a mighty, righteous, manly man and his masculinity will get everything done. You can't drink out of straws if you're a dude. You can't cross your legs if you're a dude. Like, there's all these weird rules. They're all just weird weaklings. Mentally, morally, ethically, physically, they're just all just bizarre. But Brian Kilmeade is among the worst of these people. He is a bent knee Donald Trump butthole caresser. He loves the grundle butter of Donald Trump. He wants to just wipe it all over his face and nose. So he's always just breathing in the essence of the dear leader. Gross enough for you? Yeah, it's pretty gross. And in an effort to try to justify everything Donald Trump does, even when he crashes the market, even when his policies are roundly rejected by all of the experts, all the economists, that tariffs disseminated like this, executed like the way Donald Trump is doing it, will be harmful to the United States economy. They will be harmful to families. They will be harmful at a macro and a micro level. It's just the way it is. And Brian Kilmeade this morning goes on this rant trying to justify tariffs and the billions that they'll bring in, completely ignoring where those billions of dollars come from, that it is a tax on the American people. Not only is it taxing on the economy from more of a metaphorical sense, it's a literal tax on the American people. The Republican Party right now is just clamoring gangbusters about all the tax benefits that are going to be coming down the pike to the American people. And all it does is it gets canceled out. I mean, you're likely not to get some kind of a tax cut because you're middle income. You're a working family. You're not a billionaire. You're not a multimillionaire. And there was one guy he was interviewing, Charles Gasparino, who is another ghoul who works for the New York Post and just one of these justifiers of everything. But he still has somewhat of a reputation he needs to maintain. So he does his very gingerly pushing back against Brian Kilmeade, and does it in a very artful way where he's saying that Brian Kilmeade has it right while correcting him on all of the facts. Watch this first clip, because the second one just goes off the rails.
I'll just show everyone at home. This is essentially 15% across the board tariff, so we're going to get some more income. No tariff on U.S. exports to the EU. Cool. $600 billion invested in the U.S. That's almost like the Japanese sovereign fund that they put into our country. I think that's $700 billion. But now they got to get $750 billion more of American energy. I think a lot of that's natural gas. You studied this stuff. You know about the relationships between the EU and the U.S. What does it mean to you?
Listen, it's a good deal. Thank God we got it out of the way. They're our biggest trading partner, and if we had massive tariffs on their goods and they put tariffs on our goods, that type of trade war would not be good for the U.S. economy. I think the markets are going to like this deal. Now, let's just break down what you said. The stuff that they're buying from us, they probably would have bought anyway, Brian, to be real honest with you. They're cutting back on Russian natural gas, obviously, for a lot of reasons. They're building out their military because of Russian expansionism. So that they were going to do that anyway. And when you say we get 15%, true, but that means U.S. consumers are paying 15% more too. So it's kind of like a tax increase on U.S. consumers. That's one way to look at this.
Yeah. Where do you think that 15% is coming? They continue to tell the lie. And maybe it's not even a lie from Donald Trump. I mean, at this point, we have to think it's a lie because he's been corrected many dozens, if not hundreds of times already to know who pays the tariff. That it's the importer of the goods in the United States, it's the American company that pays that and then passes that cost along to the U.S. consumer. So ultimately, it's a tax. And Brian Kilmeade is still in July of 2025, almost August of 2025, trying to pass off Donald Trump's ignorance as fact. Lucky for us, Charles Gasparino doesn't want to withstand the slings and arrows to his reputation of agreeing with this abject idiocy. It got worse. The conversation continued, and Kilmeade still tried to back Donald Trump's lie, and it got out of hand real quick.
On that. So, Charlie, I hear you, but it's hard for me to think that this is the type of deal that would have been done in his first term, because between the whole Russia thing and people not taking him seriously, I think if you look at where we were in April and then see what's come in from Indonesia to the Philippines, now the Japan, Vietnam, and now the EU, I think he's pretty much defying almost all of his critics that he didn't have a plan. What about this? 50% tariff on EU steel and aluminum. The big picture there, how is that going to affect all of us?
Well, it's theoretically, if we need to buy steel from them, it's going to cost us more. I mean, again, Brian, you kind of put this in context. Every penny we get from them is being passed to the U.S. consumer. So remember that.
Not necessarily, right? It's got to be the choice.
Oh, yes, necessarily.
You can get because if the company buys it, they can set the price.
Some companies will eat it for now,
and they have
but at
so
some
far.
point, so far. But remember, companies don't report to the president; they report to shareholders, and they have a fiduciary responsibility for profit margins. And at some point, and that point is coming. I mean, you can see it. There have been price increases on certain goods. I mean, there's no doubt. And this deal has just been cut. So I would just say this is good. It's good to have a trade deal. It's better than. And by the way, 15% is manageable. It's not going to blow up the global system. But let's be real clear here. Tariffs cost. They're a tax. That tax often gets passed on to consumers.
Right. And unless they want to make it here.
Remember.
And that's also a goal. But so, Charlie, for people at home.
I love that moment. Every penny we get from them is being passed on to the U.S. consumer. Kilmeade. Not necessarily, Gasparino. Yes, necessarily. Let's be real clear here. Tariffs cost. They're a tax. That tax often gets passed on to consumers. The only reason or way that it wouldn't be passed on to consumers, to you, to me, is if the business, he talked about fiduciary responsibility, if the business was acting out of accordance with its best interest or the best interest of its shareholders, which is illegal. They have to pass the cost on. That's how it works. And Donald Trump, all of these billions of dollars that he talks about, when you hear him talk about it, that we brought in 10 million a day, 2 billion a day, 10 billion a day, whatever number he says, that's because Americans paid more for their products and they paid those dollars. So all of that money's coming out of budgets from working families that could be used to pay for gasoline, to pay for groceries, which is a new word Donald Trump made up, a new concept. It's an old-fashioned thing, but maybe you've heard of it. And Brian Kilmeade is here to break his fucking back carrying water for Donald Trump. The lies, the propaganda, maybe just sheer ignorance. Maybe it's just that Donald Trump is one of the most stupid human beings, the most radically ignorant men who's ever held the office of President of the United States. What say you? You can comment below. You can also call the voicemail line and leave me a fewer than 3-minute voicemail, 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me daily at dollemore.com. Please subscribe. First of all, should have said that up front. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. And if you appreciate what I do and you want to help my work, if you want to help me produce these videos, click the join button below. And for $2 a month, you can become a channel member, or you can go over to patreon.com/IDoubtIt podcast. Both those are fantastic ways to help support this work and feel good about the work that you're helping produce. Anyway, I love and appreciate you very much. I'll see you next time. Hopefully won't be talking about the beady-eyed Brian Kilmeade, but maybe. You never know. I don't control these things. Anyway, I love and appreciate you very much. Thanks for your engagement. I'll see you next time. Be genuine. Take care of one another.